Hello my wonderful people. Today we are gonna be practicing English language and we are trying to master the pronunciation of English words. And this is a new video series that I'm gonna do and we are gonna be practicing in 1 hour increments. This is my plan. And we are using Google Docs. And I'm using this with a microphone, a USB microphone, and I'm not going to box myself to any particular thing. We are maybe going to write some fiction over here, but we might write some song lyrics, we might write just thoughts that come to my head. We are not gonna box ourselves to any particular thing. We are trying to just make our pronunciation of English language so fluent and so flowing that there won't be any resistance when we get to real situations where we have to use this language, for example giving speeches. Let's start with that. Have you ever given a speech? How did it go? What kind of speeches would you want to give? What kind of speeches would you want to give? Do you want to talk about yourself in the speech or some other topic like the state of the environment? What's your speech about? And how are you going to prepare for it? Well, that's a start. So we're going to be thinking about how you would start a speech. Well, you might start it like something like this. I'm so glad that there are so many people here listening to this speech I'm going to give to you. And this topic I'm going to be talking about is very near to my heart. Something like that. Don't just say that, yeah, I'm so freaking into this topic, That might not work so much. You have to, get to those emotions of your listeners. How do you get to the emotions of your listeners? Not emotions of your listeners. How do you make them feel what you feel? That kind of stuff, This topic is about procrastination, and I bet that every one of you has suffered at least at some point in your life from procrastination. Then you could ask some questions from your audience. Hey, you guy over there, do you ever procrastinate? The speaker asks from an audience member. Yeah, actually, a lot. Just too much nowadays. What should you be doing when you procrastinate? The speaker asks. You heard how I pronounce that word asks. It's supposed to be asks, 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 asks. You know, asks, asks. You know, that kind of asks. Yeah. What should you be doing when you procrastinate? I should be changing the world. That's a good goal, my man. Why are you not changing the world? Because it's so freaking hard to change the world. I say. He says. And it's a rainy day. Well, why don't you get a freaking umbrella then? The speaker asks. Now you heard how I pronounced that. You know I can pronounce that word. It was just... I have some... like... Blegem in my throat, you know. That's a funny word. Blegem. 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 Yeah. This is... we're gonna rename this document over here. This is Project English Mastery. Okay, that is a good video title. Project English Mastery. And I'm going to say to you that I'm gonna write this over here. I'm gonna write it like this. I really hope that at some point in this Project English Mastery video series I can have my video webcam on the corner and you can see me while I practice this stuff. That's my plan, but at the moment I don't have that kind of a camera yet. Then we go back to here. Yeah, that's a great idea, man. I actually have a fucking umbrella, but I just don't use it. Like that, to stop me from procrastinating. He says. Well, you should get an umbrella then that you really, really, really want to use. And then the speaker is going to give you a talk. So that's a segue to my next topic in this speech. I want to talk to you about how your clothes affect your habits and how if you have the best kind of gloves, for example, the gloves will make you want to go out to practice that freaking singing style, or maybe even your talking style, maybe even your walking style. You're gonna be the styliest guy ever if you really understand the importance of having good freaking clothes. Yeah, I'm not gonna sell you all the clothes, you know, that's somebody else's job, but that's really the truth, you know. I practiced a lot of stuff on this tool, but I'm gonna say to you that if you want to practice your talking freaking style, then you really have to get out there. And if your clothes are freaking shit, you know, you won't be having that motivation. If you have beautiful stuff, you know, you will want to go out, you know, and you will want to practice this stuff. And you know, if you do it in the nighttime like I do, let's talk. That could be the last part of the get better clothes. You know, that could be the last part of the speech. But the first part is that the next part in the speech I want to be talking to you about is getting out there. And if you really want to get out there, you really have to go out of that freaking door of your home. And you have to go and do and practice the stuff that will change you and will change you as a human being. So when you come back, when you really start interacting with human beings, they won't understand how this guy is so freaking good in what he does, because they didn't see all the practice behind it. And that's one of my reasons, behind the Truth Detective channel. I want to give like these first impressions to people, and I want to talk to people, and I want to kind of make them understand through my YouTube channel when I tell them about it, and if they check it out. I want to make them understand that if they see me as some kind, I want to see how much, practice went on in the background. And this is one of the video series also that is kind of my practicing stuff. I want to with this video series, my goal is not that you watch this stuff. That's not my goal. My goal is more to make a history that this is what Truth Detective did, this is how much he practiced this stuff, and this is the reason why I got so good. You can see I made like hundreds of hours of practicing this stuff is on YouTube at the moment already of me, but I haven't done this for like a long time. Now I'm doing this again, and I always come back to this practice. Okay. Then we might go here. I always come back to this practice because this practice is so fundamental with me becoming better in socializing, speaking, and in interacting with foreign people. This is such an important practice that if you are not at the moment doing this, you are really doing a detriment to yourself, because having the pronunciation of hard and not very often used words perfected is so valuable when you really start talking to people and you really want to deliver your ideas. You don't want to stammer, you don't want to have any resistance in what you say. You just want it to flow. It just has to flow so freaking good. It just has to sound like you have it all planned beforehand. It has to... It has to sound natural. Then you can focus more on how you say it. You can focus more on your style. I would say that if you want to learn talking style in a foreign language, well, I could write this over here. The next part in this speech is that I want to talk to you about talking style. And if you really want to master a talking style in a foreign language, you first, at least I think, have to master the pronunciation of words in general. General, 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 you go. And if you think about, for example, like singing, if you want to master talking style, in a foreign language, you first have to, at least I think, master the pronunciation of words in general or something like that. Whatever, man. I mean that if you want to write songs, you should already be a master of pronouncing those words. It can be a hugely beneficial gateway practice to writing songs, in foreign languages. This is what I do. and in general becoming a more clear speaker, because I have noticed that a lot of people have hard time of saying anything, but they have hard time of the like transmitting their ideas, that's for sure, and they have a hard time transmitting their way of thought, and they have also a hard time with their talking style. They don't have that kind of, feeling in it, they don't deliver any feeling, and that kind of stuff, it's, you can learn this stuff and you can change so much, you can change huge amounts of things about yourself. um, and you had like pronunciation of words in general. So how do you practice this stuff after you have learned the basics of a foreign language? Well, you might use something like Google Docs, and another practice I have for you is a simple pen and a notebook. And this practice is really powerful also. You take a notebook and you write words or stories or lyrics for a song. Anything really on the notebook page. Then you flip the page around and you write the most important words on those page and try to remember those words. You just flip back and forth the page and you write the most important words on the other side of the page. That's simple. I will show this practice to you in the future, but it's really powerful, this what I'm talking over here is, this is really powerful stuff, I'm gonna explain it to you again. You're going to take a notebook and you're going to write on that notebook on the other side of the page a story, anything you want. You could write a speech, you can write anything. But the most important thing is that you don't write on the other side of the page anything more than that. You flip the page around and then you copy the most important words. You are going to look at those words and become conscious of what are the words you use the most and what are the topics you talk about the most. You become conscious of the stuff, and then you can change your vocabulary, you can expand your vocabulary, and you can become a master in this language. You can even become published in a foreign language. I'm talking about books, You can become published in a foreign language. It's possible. People have done it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to write a book in English, The next part of the speech is about, okay, then we might divide it up a bit. So I'm not your language teacher, but if you are Finnish, you understand at this point that I have practiced this stuff a lot, and I know a lot of Finnish people, they have this, we call it rally English, the same kind of stuff that you hear in like rally interviews, I would say that I have a lot of background in English language, in a sense that I used to play video games. I watched like hundreds of hours of anime. You have to read all the fucking like the I don't know Japanese, so I had to read all the like those captions, and I read, I have read like 300 books, I think, in English, 300 books in English. So it kind of like gets to you. Then I started doing this practice, and I have written in English like huge amounts of pages, and I just feel that it's so beneficial, because I just feel that it's so beneficial to try to do those things you try to do with the language in general, with another language, because you gain many birds with one stone, so to say. You understand? If you if you want to write a book, then why don't try to write a book? Then why don't try to write that book in a foreign language? Then you will get some practice in that language at the same time. So even if your writing sucks, you are getting better in some way. This is in general one of my like ways of thinking about life. That if you want to get good, you have to really start to think about like what else is this like developing in myself in than just this one thing. I want you to really like understand this line of like getting few birds with one stone. Like, if I practice this stuff, will it make me better in something else at the same time? Will it be beneficial for something else at the same time? And I would say that, I have talked to a lot of people, and I have talked to some Americans also, but there are not that many Americans around where I live, in Finlandia. But I've met some Americans, and I've talked some English, in real life. But really, I have this like dream of like actually like, well, I want to travel the United States, and I want to travel the United Kingdom, and yeah, that kind of stuff. I want to use this language all the time. Internet like creates a lot of like possibilities. I talked about in this part. My plan. I don't have that kind of camera yet. I'm gonna tell you something. Let's expand our vocabulary. Actually, I tried a camera just this week. Uh, that was made by Canon, and it could be used as a webcam also. It was a DSLR camera, but the company I bought that camera from, sent me the wrong model, or a model that didn't have all the accessories I bought for the price, so I had to return it, and I was pretty pissed off at this. And now I have to wait. Otherwise, I would have maybe had a solution for the webcam now, but now I can't film this for you. So that's one of the things I really want to do. There's so much space over here, so I wonder if I could like maybe get like a webcam over here, or something like that. I don't yet know, and I really yeah, that camera would have probably been a great solution for that, but yeah, it was so fucking, I was so like bummed, about that. I was like, holy shit, like, how can you fucking send me the wrong fucking, it was the wrong color, and it didn't have, it was supposed to have this, I'm going to write over here. The camera was supposed to have, with the packaging, tripod stand and a microphone designed for that camera especially. But they just sent me the wrong color camera without any accessories. Like, can you imagine that? That was such, that, like, man, I'm so fucking bummed, you know. Like, man, I hate companies that like do those kind of mistakes, you know. I don't know if they did it on purpose, you know, for some stupid reason. I don't know, you know. Like, man. Yeah. I don't have much good things to say about this company. You know, I have had like two, like now all the experiences I've had, which is like two experiences, have been bad. So yeah, yeah, I have had bad experiences with some companies, but then you get good ones, you know. Also, so maybe this one will be good. No, maybe they can make it right. You know, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be talking to you about I'm gonna be making video. Hey, guys, you over there, don't buy from this company. That kind of stuff. So, if your writing sucks, you are getting better in some way. So even if your writing sucks, you are getting better in some way. Okay. Okay, the next one. Oh, yeah. Okay, then let's talk about then let's talk about the content of your speech. How are you going to prepare for this? What is the subject you are going to be talking about? And how much do you know about this subject? And how much of your own experience can you put into this subject? You might have a lot of experience in something, but you could never do or give a speech about that subject. Did you hear how I mispronounced that word? That's bad. Subject, you know, it's an easy word. You might have a lot of experience in something, but you could never do or give a speech on that subject. That kind of stuff. So now let's write some goals. So what are your goals for your language mastery journey? Why do you want to learn and master this language? Because this is fundamental, and I always pronounce this word like this: fundamental. It kind of understands it, but this is fundamental. This is fundamental. Fundamental. This is 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 fundamental. I don't know what's the right. This is fundamental. 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 This stuff is really fundamental for your. This stuff is really fundamental for you. This, yeah, that's the right way to pronounce. This stuff is really fundamental. This stuff is really fundamental for your talking and singing style. You have to really learn this. This stuff is really fundamental. This stuff is really fundamental. This stuff is really fundamental. How do you pronounce? This stuff is really fundamental. Fundamental. Whatever. we're gonna master that word, but you know. So what are your goals for your language? Why do you want to learn and master this language? Because this is fundamental. What are you trying to accomplish with this language? Let's throw some examples of things you could do with the language. The speaker asks from the audience examples of things you could do with a foreign language. Somebody will say. Somebody from the audience says. From the audience says. You could give a speech with a foreign language. You could write a song with a foreign language. You could program in a foreign language. You could write a book in a foreign language. You could try to sell something in a foreign language. You could hit on a girl in a foreign language. With a foreign language. You could ask for directions. Could ask for directions in a you could get help in a foreign language. You could do your job in a foreign language. What I mean by this is that you could explain your job. You could explain your work in a foreign language. You could make a YouTube channel in a foreign language. You could write a blog in a foreign language. You could write a blog in a foreign language. You could write a tweet in a foreign language. You could make a friend in a foreign language. Like there's so many things. I'm not gonna write any more of those examples because I have this problem. I have done so much writing and painting and drawing that my hands kind of have these weird pains in them. And I can't write a lot, nowadays. For example, on the computer, I can do my video titles, I can write some hashtags, maybe some short tweets. But if I write more than, a minute at a computer keyboard, my fingers start they start to scream, Man, I'm getting all kinds of pains on my right hand. So this is one of those things, can I even get help for this kind of specialized, stuff in Finlandia, it's possible, but if you have a health problem, you could get a help for your health problem in a foreign language. That kind of stuff. You can do all kinds of stuff with the foreign language. So why not learn one? I actually don't know any other languages than Finnish and English. There's in Finlandia, we are taught Swedish. But I was a really lousy Swedish student because I lacked this part over here. I didn't know what I can accomplish with the language. There's actually a lot of Swedish people, but because I went to a Finnish school, because here, at least in my town, there's a lot of Swedish people, so there are Swedish schools and there are Finnish schools. They are separated, So I don't really know. I can't talk Swedish, Not I can't talk it, but I can't understand it at all, It's funny because actually I've done a lot of English writing practice. at a local like library, and there's a lot of there's a lot of people that go there that only speak Swedish, that like they can speak Finnish, but they don't want to speak the language, you know. They don't have that kind of proficiency in the language maybe. So it's kind of funny because when they talk, I can't understand a word of it. You know, I can't understand any fucking words. Every fucking yeah. There might be a one word some, but you know, I have forgot it all. I have forgot the whole language, and I bet that that's one of the reasons I have been able to focus in that place so good in my writing, because I don't understand shit what anybody is talking around me, so it's just background noise, you know. They're probably talking about me all the time. I don't know, but that's so funny. That's so funny, you know. So I didn't learn the language. I didn't learn the language because there was not enough motivation. But this is also related to like different things, you know. You could ask the same. You could ask the same questions, like ask the same question about, for example, your this programming thing. You could program in a foreign language, but what's your motivation for programming? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? Do you have an idea for a program you actually want to execute, or do you just want to be a programmer? That kind of stuff. I would say that if you want to learn anything in your life, you need this kind of motivation. But because when we start learning this language in Finlandia, you know, so young, I was actually 9 years old when they started teaching Finnish. They started teaching English in my school, you know. I was 9 years old. I might write this here. I was 9 years old, or actually I was 10 years. Yeah, it's 10 years old. Years old when I started learning English in a public school system in Finland. And we had a quite good English teacher that really wanted you to understand and remember those freaking words. We made this kind of tests, you know, every week. We had tests every week where we were challenged to remember words. There was something like 8 or maybe 9, 10 words in English that you had to remember, and then you were tested on those words. So you had to learn words that way. And it's kind of, you know, I could say that almost everything that I have done, like after, I would say my, like what's that called, you know, vocational school where you learn your trade. Like I learned computers. Everything I have learned after that related to English has been more, you know, like refinement and learning to use the language in creative ways and learning to really like mastering it. But I would say that the level you get to in the language, even though you might pass all the tests and get good grades in it, is still pretty low, and you won't be able to, for example, work in a hard trade in that language in a foreign country. You won't be able to give a speech in that foreign language even if you get those good grades. You won't be able to do the hard stuff. You won't be able to write a book. You won't be able to hit on a girl with that language. It just won't work. You have to practice more, and you have to practice smart. So then I'm going to be talking to you about this. I found this English vocabulary mastery program named, what was the verbal advantage. Like this. Verbal advantage. and he just talks in the book that uh, the fact is that the highest paying and the most valued uh, persons in the world have usually the largest vocabulary in English. And even if you are English, you have to expand your vocabulary. Even if you are Finnish and you only talk Finnish, you have to expand your Finnish vocabulary. And if you are thinking about for example, well, let's talk about this first. And this program was about learning hard words, and there was kind of way of remembering and learning those words, even though in normal speech and in almost none of the books those words never appear. It's still beneficial to learn and to read something like that on top of reading a lot in general. That when how the way I pronounce this word is kind of, it sounds wrong, in general. In general. In general. In general. That sounds a bit more natural. Natural. General. 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 Come and get your American starter kit right now from General Motors. Yeah. Stuff like that. So, yeah. This is how we do it. So, what's your motivation? Okay. Then we are gonna ask, we are gonna delve into more the basic subject of motivation in general. For example, here we are going to ask this question: why do you want to make a YouTube channel, or why do you want to be a YouTuber, and what's your motivation for being a YouTuber? You get the question. What's your motivation of being a YouTuber? I'm going to tell you that my motivation for being a YouTuber is really, well, I feel that YouTube is a tool, on top of being a social media. You can use it to kind of take your life to the next level. You can make your life better by filming it on YouTube, I could say. You can change your life with YouTube. And that's why I like it. And my motivation for YouTube, I would say that it's just that, but it's also that I want to influence people, I want to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer. And I want to see my effect on the people that watch me. But if there's no effect, I still gain something out of it myself. That kind of thinking, that keeps me motivated. It's the same principle. The word principle. What does a principle mean? Let's just make here a list. Word explanations. We are not going to Google this. We are not going to consult any dictionary. We are just going to tell with our own words what do these words mean. What does principle, the same principle, what does a principle mean? What does a principle mean? I'm not talking about school principle. I'm talking about a principle that applies to many different subjects. The same way that an idea works in many different concrete topics and subjects. Situations. So we wrote over here that you need this kind of two birds with one stone. You practice writing English, even if your writing sucks, you are still getting better at the language, you know. And it's the same principle. I want to be. I make a YouTube channel because I want to be an influencer. But if I don't influence, I still get something out of it. You know myself. I become better in my life and the process. You know. And I'm kind of thinking that if I want to be you could write this kind of like programming, you know. I learned the basic programming structure in school, so I can use that structure over here. And you always like to use the tabulator like that. And so I want to be an influencer. So if I think about it, if I think about being an influencer, isn't that situation kind of like having just the 50% of the world if the audience isn't being a YouTuber in the same way as I am? Are they using what they have in the same way to better their life? And if not, then what does my influence really affect them, or how does it affect them? Can I change this to become more influential? You nailed that word, influential. 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 Here we have a T, you know, influential, but you pronounce it influential, like a C, you know, influential. And in the school, you know, I'm going to write over here. In the school, we also practiced pronunciation of words, and we had some, what are those called? What's a task? Tasks where you had to work with a partner or group in the foreign language. Okay, here's a creative idea. What if this was never done? Why was this never done? Holy shit. Why didn't they do this? Like, this could have been so fucking, you know, this could have been so good. Why didn't they do it? Would this have been too challenging? Maybe. But what if you had to do math with a foreign language? What if you had to do biology with a foreign language? Well, yeah, they kind of like actually they teach you the words. But is the subject really just the words, you know? You gain kind of the understanding through those. I'm kind of thinking about the thinking behind the public school system in Finlandia, for example. You learn foreign language, so I'm going to write. So basically, you learn a foreign language at the same time as learning some other subjects like arts, crafts. That means update. There's some kind of connection issue. Wait a minute. So yeah, you know, that's the shitty thing about this Google Docs, you know, because if you lose your connection, you know, you have to, it doesn't work offline. But I actually learned that there's a extension you can install, and then you can use this Google Docs. I don't know if it works with this, if this works, you know, in offline mode. I don't know about that, if this like requires some cloud connectivity, you know, we could write about that. You know, I learned computers. Yeah. But when I went to that school, I think was it like 17? No, 16. I was 16 when I went to learn computers. It was 3 years of learning computers. Then after that, I have mostly like learned stuff on my own. I haven't went to a school after that, and I think it has been a great choice. In many ways. I did stuff that you could never do if you went to a school. They wouldn't let you do this stuff. They wouldn't let you learn that stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't be doing this if I went to school. Yeah, that's for sure. If you want to find your own way, I would say that yeah, go to school, but like don't think that you will find your own way by going to school. It's probably not gonna happen. Don't go to school for too long. I would say that. We had tests every week. Yeah. So why don't they make you do math, biology, do you learn to do science in school? Well, no. Biology, physics. You can attend a university in a foreign language, maybe that's good. And well, no. yeah, travel to United States and get in huge amount of debt and go to Harvard. Like, man, think about that. I could do that. Yeah. The first thing, I bet Finnish people have done it already, but it would be kind of interesting, like attend. I wouldn't get through those like schools. I don't belong in a school. Yeah, I don't belong in a school. Yeah, why don't they make you do math, biology, physics, chemistry, all the subject in English? Yeah, that's a great idea. Look, you could attend a university. You could attend a university and get. You could go to a school in a foreign language. Yeah. Let's just write college because it's probably the state you would do that in. Maybe, yeah. Think about that. Like that's interesting. You could attend a university. Yeah, great. You could make a movie in foreign language. You could make a movie in a foreign language. Well, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of options that you have. There's a lot of languages actually over here. You can use this program in so many languages. I don't even know what these are. I think these are your Middle East languages. Like Egypt and like these are like your Hindis and like your Indian languages, and these are your Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and I think this is Korean, and and then there's your like Russian and that kind of stuff. Then you have these. I don't know what it's when you have to learn a completely new marking system. I don't know if it's yeah, I actually tried to learn Japanese at some point because I had that kind of, a little bit of motivation, for it. It would be an interesting thing to actually be able to do my YouTube channel in more languages, I don't know if it's ever going to manifest. I don't know because like learning a language is, yeah, some people can learn them fast. It's possible. There are those language masters that you can like learn languages to a like a proficient level pretty easily. But I feel I'm more after mastering a language. Like I, and I feel that my future is, well, you could say that maybe your future is kind of also shaped by the languages that you know. It kind of expands your possibilities and your things you could do in your life. But I would still say that maybe that's more what I'm after in my life. Yeah. So that's so now, how much time do we have left? Okay, we have been practicing for an hour right now, and this is Project English Mastery, hour number 1. And I had great fun doing this, and it kind of like opened my mind, and I got into this flow, and this is really beneficial for my YouTube channel. And I want to share this with you because I want to kind of show you the way that I practice this stuff. And I know that this works because I have seen the results from this. I know that this works. I'm 100% sure that this works. And I feel that, uh, it could be. Oh, yeah. I remember actually. In my school, the, like the, how, like, is it the upper, like the, not the middle school, not the high school. Yeah, middle school. Is it middle school? Yeah, I think it's middle school. I don't know, but there was this this classroom that had these like headsets, and you talk to these headsets, with like other students, and you learned. Uh, like that was, I think it was pretty a good idea, but I still feel that a lot of teaching that goes on in Finnish schools in English could be taken to the next level. I feel that this is one of the tools that you could use and should be used. But I feel that, yeah, I feel that really your language ability, it has to be so, as I said, there must not be any resistance in where you like talk. You have to be able to do a lot of stuff on it, and I would say that you have to get creative with the language, and it's going to be so awesome, that kind of stuff. So, thanks for watching. Uh, this was the first hour, as I said, of the Project English Mastery, and we talked about some ideas. I want to get a webcam over here of my own face, and I can wear my stylish clothes, over here, and we're gonna figure out a background maybe for the stuff. I don't know how it's going to be panning out, and yeah, that kind of stuff. I really like doing this. I always, as I said, I always come back to this practice because it's so beneficial. And if you're Finnish, I want to encourage you to do this stuff because this will take your English ability to the next level. And I would say that you should be aiming to practice this stuff for at least 50 hours, just talking the language. Just get a microphone. You need a USB microphone. You need really nothing else for this to work. This only works actually in Google browsers. This doesn't work in Firefox, so you need a Google browser. I'm using Fedora Linux, but you can use this in any platform. You can probably use, I don't know if you can use this even on like some iOS devices. I have no idea. But you can do this. It won't set you back much. Just get yourself a USB microphone, a high quality one. I'm using a Tula microphone. It's also a pocketable recorder, and it works pretty good. If you want to record this stuff while you do it, you can use something like this simple screen recorder. I don't know if this is available for Windows like Mac OS. I don't know, but you can do this. You will do this. This is so beneficial. I want you to do this. So thanks for watching.